Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to break down how you can make absolutely professional quality sushi right in your own kitchen. We'll be using the techniques of Master Chef Takasaka Eda to cover the core skills that will make your sushi not just doable, but really, really impressive.
Okay, let's just dive right in. Because the number one most important secret to incredible sushi, well, it's not the fish, it's the rice. So many people think you need all this expensive stuff, but the real foundation, the heart of any great roll, is perfectly prepared rice. So that's where we're going to focus. You master the rice, and you've pretty much mastered the art of sushi. Seriously, you get this part right, and everything else just falls into place. Now, before a single grain of rice even thinks about hitting the cooker, it has to be washed. And I don't mean just a quick rinse under the tap. This is a critical step that completely changes the final product. So why is it so darn important? Well, it's all about getting rid of that excess starch on the outside of the grains. If you skip this, that starch turns the rice into a gummy, clumpy mess. But if you wash it until the water runs clear, you get rice with the absolute perfect texture. It's sticky enough to hold its shape, but not so sticky that it turns to mush. And here's a fantastic little pro tip for getting that consistency every single time. After you wash the rice, drain it for a set amount of time. The chef recommends exactly 5 minutes before you cook it. This just gives you precise control over how much water is in there, so you get the same results every time. Okay, so while the rice is cooking, you're gonna mix up the sushi vinegar. This simple recipe is a total flavor powerhouse. And you see that piece of kombu in there? That is a classic chef's trick. It adds this deep, savory flavor called umami, which just beautifully balances out the sharpness of the vinegar and salt. And here it is, the magic number. To get your rice seasoned perfectly, the amount of sushi vinegar you use should be exactly 20% of the volume of your dry rice measurement. It's a simple ratio that takes all the guesswork out of it. Now, listen up, because timing is everything here. It is crucial to mix that vinegar in while the rice is still piping hot. That heat helps every single grain absorb the seasoning evenly without getting all sticky. And notice the technique. You want to use a gentle cutting motion, not stirring, to separate the grains without mashing them. All right, with our rice now absolutely perfect, let's move on to the fillings. We're going to get everything prepped for 2 classics that are just perfect for learning the basics: the simple, clean cucumber roll, or Maki, and the iconic tuna roll, the Maki. Okay, let's talk safety for a second, because this is so important. When you're buying sushi-grade tuna, these rules right here are completely non-negotiable. You have to trust your source, you have to look for that vibrant, bright red color, and you absolutely must buy it and eat it on the same day, keeping it chilled below 41 degrees Fahrenheit the whole time. So for your fillings, what you want to do is cut your cucumber, and ideally you're using a less watery kind, like a Persian cucumber, and your tuna into these nice, uniform little batons. The goal is to make them fit perfectly across the width of your half sheet of nori. It just makes for a much neater, more stable roll in the end. Okay, all our prep is done. We've got our perfect rice, we've got our beautiful fillings. Now we've arrived at the part that intimidates a lot of home cooks, the roll itself. But trust me, with the right technique, it's totally achievable. But first, here is an absolutely brilliant hack that's going to make your life so much easier. Instead of constantly dipping your hands in water to keep the rice from sticking, just put on a pair of vinyl gloves and add a couple drops of neutral oil. The rice literally will not stick. It makes handling it incredibly simple. The entire process really just boils down to 4 simple moves. First, spread the rice on the rough side of the nori, leaving a little gap at the top. Second, and this is key, build a small dam of rice at the far edge. Third, place your fillings right up against that dam. And finally, you just roll it all over. That little dam is the secret weapon to a perfectly tight roll. Now, here's a super important piece of advice, straight from the chef himself. You have to resist the temptation to overstuff your roll. It is the single most common mistake people make. If you put too many fillings in, rolling it becomes nearly impossible, and the whole thing will just fall apart. Less is definitely more. So once the roll is sealed up, you're not quite done. You use the bamboo mat, that's called a makisu, to apply some gentle, even pressure on the top and on the sides. This firms everything up and gives the roll that classic, professional-looking square shape. And there you have it. The hard part is officially over. Your rice is perfect, your roll is tight. Now for the best part, the final payoff, cutting and serving. So you want to get those clean, perfect slices, right? Where you don't tear the roll or squish everything out. The secret is so simple: a damp knife. A dry knife will stick to the rice, but if you just wipe your blade with a damp cloth before you slice, it'll glide right through. Finally, it's time to serve it up with all the traditional accompaniments. You're going to want some pickled ginger or gari to cleanse your palate between bites, a little bit of sharp wasabi, and of course, some soy sauce for dipping.
And this right here is the payoff. Like the chef says, in a simple tekkemaki roll, it is all about that beautiful balance. You get the gentle iron flavor from the tuna, that sharp little kick from the wasabi, the perfectly seasoned rice, and that essential toasty aroma of the seaweed that just ties the whole thing together.
So you see, these foundational skills aren't nearly as difficult as they might look. It's really all about a little bit of practice. And the barrier to making amazing sushi at home is way lower than you think. You now have the techniques of a pro, so the only real question left is, what's going to be in your first roll?